Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your KSB Daily State House Update for Tuesday, March 23rd, I believe. A little bit lighter day, although still quite a bit to report. Before we plunge in, we might just remind you this is the last week of scheduled hearings and action by most committees. That means that after this week, it'll pretty much be action on the floor and conference committees in the final 2 weeks of the regular session, but that doesn't mean there won't be pop-up committees and controversy. We'll try to keep you aware of that. Let's start by final action today on Senate Bill 63, the modified Back to School Act. Scott, I think you were watching that.
Yes, modified. The old adage that nothing ever dies under the dome is true with this one. It was just a week ago the House rejected Senate Bill 235, which would have required in-person learning options in schools by March 26. The House voted that down. 2 days later, the idea reappeared in Senate Bill 63. Instead of it being setting a deadline of March 26, it set a deadline of March 31st, and only for this year, not every year, only for this year. So today that came up for final action in the House and was approved 77 to 46. It bounces back over to the Senate, and the Senate decides to not concur with the amended bill. And so I guess now it's going to conference committee.
Yeah, it presumably will. And given the fact we understood that leadership kind of wanted this bill, and it is the 23rd, so there isn't a lot of time, but we might just remind people that the bill originally required that non-private or non-public private school students would be able to take the SAT test, the pre-SAT, and the work keys at no charge, which really does kind of under the state contract, and that didn't seem too controversial in the Senate. It did bog down a bit in the House. Actually, some of the homeschool advocates didn't like it because they thought even this voluntary option might be a little too intrusive. So it was a little bit surprising to me that when the committee put the back to school provisions in, they took out the stuff dealing with the private school ACT stuff. They could have just added. Maybe that's what's holding it up. Might not take too long to resolve, but at a minimum, it means the House is going to have to agree to a conference. And so we probably added at least a day or so to the process. We'll find out. Might just also note that today, again, kind of maybe a little bit of surprised how fast it moved. The Senate Assessment and Taxation Committee had a quick meeting this morning, bringing up sooner than we were expecting, Senate Bill 277, which extends the statewide mill levy for 2 years. They did agree to amend a provision that was adopted as part of Senate Bill 13, probably confusing you with all these numbers. That's the bill that requires schools to go through an additional notice and hearing process to adopt a budget that brings in more property tax money than a revenue neutral rate. They amended the bill to extend the deadline from school districts from, I think, July 15th to July 25th because of concerns that schools would need more time when they get their information from the state to put their budgets together. So a good amendment. We're supportive. An effort to take the 20 mills out of the requirements of the bill apparently was defeated in committee. So that came out of committee. What's a little murky is that Chairman Tyson told me that the bill might be going back to committee to kind of make sure everything is working as intended, and that they might put these provisions in a House bill. So we'll keep you posted on that. Would just note that tomorrow the House Tax Committee has a hearing on their version of the 20 mil extension where this issue might come up. So with all that said, Leah, you, I think, were testifying in Senate Education on the Kansas Promise Act again.
That's right. The Kansas Promise Scholarship Act extends scholarships to students who are attending post-secondary education in high-need fields, often sort of CTE or those types of careers. There was a little bit of discussion in the committee today, just kind of some procedural stuff around. There's a community service element in this bill that was not in a Senate bill, a similar Senate bill that was passed, and just a few things like that that I think might end up being resolved, perhaps in a conference committee. The hearing was closed today without any opposition. We testified in favor, and the chair announced that they won't meet tomorrow, but they will meet on Thursday in Senate Education to work bills that were previously heard, including this bill. So that will likely be kicked out of committee on Thursday.
And just note, House Education was scheduled today to have a hearing on Senate Bill 51, which puts in state statute the foster care report card. KSB is supporting that. They didn't get to the hearing because of a long House debate, primarily on a resolution dealing with the federal voting rights bill that is going on. So that's been pushed till tomorrow. So tomorrow we expect House Education to have a hearing on Senate Bill 51, pretty non-controversial. We're supporting it. And probably take action on Senate Bill 32, which is the dual or concurrent enrollment bill, which may get a couple of tweaks. And then finally possibly take action on Senate Bill 62, which is the updated school vision screening bill that may become a vehicle for at least parts of the bill on emergency legislation, medicine, allowing school districts to hold emergency medical supplies. We might just note we are supporting all of those in some fashion or other. So again, this is kind of the week we'll see whether things get pulled together before we go to conference committee. So I think that kind of covers what we are expecting tomorrow, what happened today. What we are still waiting on is word of when the House
Uh-oh, Mark, you froze up. I think he was going to say we're waiting to see if the House is going to take up 2119 at some point.
Yeah, I think that's what he was going to say. And we did just get the list of bills on general orders for tomorrow, and House Bill 2119 does not appear on that list. So we are tonight we'll be sending out an email to our members with some information that you can share, asking your member of the House of Representatives to vote no on House Bill 2119, because we do expect it to come up for a floor vote at some point here in the next few to several days. So it looks like Mark is back. Anything else you wanted to add, Mark?
Apparently I'm having internet connection problems. Sorry about that. Yeah, just wanted to say 2119 could come up at any time. We strongly encourage you, I'm sure my colleagues did, you need to be contacting your House members about your concerns on that bill. It's absolutely critical here in the next few days when we think it'll be resolved. We're also waiting to know when the House will do the rest of the budget, which could also end up tying in some education issues as well, as happened in the Appropriations Committee. So if there's nothing else, guys, before you lose me again, I guess we can go ahead and sign off. If we do that, I'd actually like you guys to hang on for just a minute after we finish, if we can. Thank you, everyone. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon.